Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Brent Hazzard Show. I'm Brent Hazzard, joined this week, back as usual, is my sidekick, Mike Gatling.
The wet blanket. I'm back.
Where were you, Mike? You got a little scared?
Yeah.
Had to take a week off?
No, I had an auto theft conference in Birmingham, and then we had a...
Wait, you're from Bolivar County. You know how to break into a car.
That probably so.
What do you mean, probably so?
Maybe.
Okay.
Deny that.
But no, you defend those type of cases.
Yeah. Well,
civilly.
That's right.
For coverage issues. Oh, feel free to talk. I got an hour to
Well, you're
kill.
still talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Incoherently. No, so right now it's been kind of an explosion on auto theft across the southeast in Jackson, Birmingham, Atlanta. Seen a ton of auto theft, and a lot of the cars are getting stolen. Tons of Chevrolets, and that Hellcat, the Dodge, is just. It might as well just get it. Even it gets stolen from the thieves, so it's kind of funny. But
it's a popular car, or is it easy to break into?
Easy to steal.
Okay.
Most of the Chevrolets, the Camaros, and most of the the Chrysler, Dodge vehicles are very easy to steal. Chrysler, Dodge, and Chevrolet have not upped their game as far as theft deterrence, and so it's a problem. And so
and specifically, what do you do?
I do special investigations or assist in special investigations with insurance companies.
So when a car is stolen, you go in and deny coverage.
No, I usually try. Right now, we've had a couple new wrinkles where we can actually. Most of the new cars are coming out have a cellular modem installed in them. So basically, your vehicle starts functioning like a cell phone. And so, as long as that cellular modem remains in the vehicle, and most people will keep that in the vehicle because you don't have to have a plan with the carrier. AT&T and Verizon handle most of that traffic, and so as long as you have a cell phone, you can get in the car and you can make calls, whatever. And it doesn't require a plan, but you get location data on those vehicles, and those cellular modems ping towers all the time, and so sometimes you can find the vehicle after it's been stolen, and so that's what we're working on right now.
How does that have anything to do with insurance coverage?
Well, the vehicle, if
30 seconds to left because you've been boring the hell out.
Oh, I thought it was interesting, but how does that? What does that have to do with insurance coverage?
Yes, if I get my car stolen, you gonna track it down for me and then say it's your cousin? I'm going to deny coverage.
Well, number one, it's going to lessen the blow on the carrier, and so that does have to do with coverage. And then number two,
I'm worried about me and mine.
Well, recovering a vehicle, if you. They take title to it, so if it turns out that the insured was in on it and you get the car back, it's gonna affect the subrogation options. So how about that?
Boring as hell. Alan Cole's back again.
What's up? Good evening.
I actually got, after the ass whooping I gave you last week, I got some people reported me for a hate crime.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you know what? It should certainly be investigated.
Oh, I was just saying.
That's why I had to stand up today.
I had to bring the white man in to show it's not discriminatory.
Let me say this to you. We've always had to work 1, 2, twice as hard to be considered half as good. But I know that I'm capable. So what's happening, brother?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I've got two of the dumbest people I could find to show up. Topic, let's get straight into it. Topic number one. The University of Mississippi won its first national championship.
At something. Gee whiz.
They have a walkway of champions and not really a lot of championship trophies. But we've got a walkway just in case one comes walking by. When Alabama comes walking in.
Correct.
Or LSU.
Maybe other champions.
We don't say they're ours.
It's not us.
Yes. But, Mike, now, you went to NC State.
Yes.
And then Ole Miss Law School.
Yes.
Did you watch the championship?
I did.
And what were your thoughts?
I was so scared that we were going to Ole Miss it. And I was very scared. And of course, we started to. And thankfully, they made some errors. And
the pitcher in Game 2 from Oklahoma was just dominating. I was like, we're not going to win this one.
He did amazing.
And then
it fell apart.
Did you watch the game?
I watched both games.
Okay. Are you a baseball fan?
I am a baseball fan.
Who's your team? Pro.
Chicago White Sox.
Oh,
why? Because they were my client.
Okay.
I know the team.
If you say Ozzie Guillen, I was about to hit
Mark
you.
Burley, and I used to have his cell phone number.
Okay.
So that's why I'm a White Sox fan.
Okay.
Used to be a Braves fan.
College fan? Do you follow college baseball? It's kind of regional. If you're an MLB fan, you're not a college fan, is what I found.
Well, not so much in baseball, but
Yeah.
but I do have an SEC team that are
Who is that?
Roll Tide, Alabama.
Bandwagon.
See, that's why.
Bandwagon.
No. Let me say this. See, I was a
Bandwagon.
Mississippi State fan at
Okay.
13. First game I was going to go see was the Mississippi State Alabama game.
And Alabama put something on them.
And I thought the game was in Starkville. I couldn't wait to get to Starkville and see Johnny Cooks and all those guys.
Ooh,
Okay.
Leland, Mississippi.
Leland,
boy.
Mississippi.
That
Okay.
Leland, Mississippi monster.
I'm from the state of Meridian.
Yeah.
I told you. The game was in Tuscaloosa, and by the time they drugged the Bulldogs up and down the field, that was when you could drag a dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't
Yeah.
drag dogs
Yeah.
now. But they drugged Mississippi State up. I was I've been an Alabama fan ever since. And then they recruited my classmate Kermit Kendricks, who played for Bama and started as a freshman. So, and they're always on TV. And so,
Oh, that's a great program. Just one that's on TV.
since I was 13, I've been a Bama
no,
fan.
that's fine. I understand.
So
You're on that.
But
side.
I love baseball.
Okay.
Love baseball.
Here's the question we were going to get into last week, and not having Socrates Garrett, who hates all thing white, is it? Can in 20
Does milk count? Okay, go ahead.
in 2022? I know the Garretts are watching, so I had to take a cheap shot. In 2022, can a African American from Mississippi ever cheer Ole Miss? Mike. See how did you like
Of
that?
course they can.
Okay. So you don't think there's any animosity from the history? Well, you would agree.
I would definitely
that
say
Colonel Reb-
there's history there.
Okay.
yeah. But I mean, I guess they're getting away from Colonel Reb, or have been trying to for 20 years.
Well, no, I mean they've officially. It was the Black Bear.
Yeah, but we're still the rebels on TV.
Okay, yeah, but I mean,
says that.
Yes, but the rebels supposedly now are not connected with the Confederacy. It was a black bear, and I don't know what it is.
a
now.
land shark.
Now it was not. You can't say rebel the land shark. How? If you were an African American in Mississippi, would you go to Ole Miss?
Probably not,
Okay, why?
because open up a book and read something. It's not going to be a very favorable chapter in history.
But in 2022, would you recommend any 18-year-old African Americans go to Ole Miss?
I would definitely say look at it.
Okay.
I mean,
1 to 10, when you were there, what was the racism level? What's the worst racist place in Mississippi in 2022, as we speak, in your opinion?
that's tough. Probably, I would say close the northeast corner of the state. It's always been my.
I'm okay.
It's a lot. It's number one, heavily white
Mayonnaise.
and hick. No,
They
offense.
they banned. Well, look, the thing Tupelo.
They are.
They banned Playboy in the 90s, and Two Live Crew.
Bastards.
That's what the people who were banning Two Live Crew was from Tupelo, First Family or whatever it's
Didn't know
called.
that.
But see, I'm going to go Greene County. I'm going to go the Pine Belt.
That's not bad. Yeah, it's some crazy.
Well, it's not that. Those people don't travel. Those are generational people. Smith County. There's not. In the Delta, you've got the river.
Well, Greene-
Tupelo, you have the furniture companies coming and going. So
The only sovereign citizens I've ever dealt with came out of Greene County. I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with any of those
what's a
nutcases.
sovereign citizen?
People that they renounce their name and they change their name to like with a hyphen and it's some characters in it, and they basically say they're not subject to the laws of the state.
Oh no, there was a couple here.
And then they file stuff.
Yeah.
And the
Doesn't have
lawsuits are
jurisdiction.
hilarious. It's like they're always saying that the judge doesn't have, I'm not subject to your ruling. We're like, well, you filed the lawsuit here, so you must be consenting to something. And they're like, and they file these just missives that are like pages and pages. Just that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the only two I've ever dealt with came out of Greene County.
Okay. Going to
Lot of
our
meth.
African American panelist, would you recommend an African American going to Ole Miss in 2022,
Absolutely.
even with the history?
Because of the history.
Okay.
Ole Miss owes the Africans.
Okay.
See, understand something. We are not immigrants. We're not visitors. We're transplants. We're the unique diaspora on this continent because we weren't seeking to come here when we got here.
So you think Europeans were Native Americans?
Absolutely not. I think Europeans are colonizers, what they've always been.
Okay.
They colonize around the world. But the reason why Ole Miss is, one, it's a fine institution that taught Jim Crow and the best racism in the world, baby. They taught the best racism in the world. And if you're going to go and get some game, go where they teaching the game. The key is to understand how to receive the game. The other reason why African Americans should go to Ole Miss is one man, Brother James Meredith, who stood, who took it, who was shot, who marched, Dr. James Meredith, who earned that first degree, who stayed there and stuck it through. That's why. Now, Mississippi has a bloody history, but so does Africa. It's not like white folks came to Africa and said, look here, you 2 million, come with us.
Yes.
That's not how it happened. It was some other Africans says, you go with them. That's how it went down. You stay right there.
You realize how many people are uncomfortable acknowledging that?
I can't help it. The truth is the truth, brother.
And what you're talking about is that slavery always, no matter who you're talking about, African American slavery, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, is someone who
God's chosen people were enslaved and he freed them.
But what I'm saying is the beginning of any issue or any
great nation is slavery.
No, just keep on talking. But what I'm saying, the beginning of slavery is always after people lose a war.
Correct.
And in my understanding of
or
that,
fall out of favor with God, as did the Israelites did when Jeremiah warned them. But we're not going to have that conversation right now. That's another one.
Yet you interjected it.
For clarity's sake, for the truth.
But what I'm saying is the losers of war were either killed
or
enslaved. And when you're talking
or given $40,000 if you're Japanese, but that's never mind. Keep going.
They didn't really lose a war. They were just looked like the people we were fighting. But that's a different conversation.
Okay, right.
But most people are uncomfortable even acknowledging that.
Yes.
They've kept that out of books and movies.
Have they?
Yes. They have. There's several issues because we don't want to have these conversations. But back.
Yes, an African American should go to Ole Miss.
13-year-old Alan Cole.
Absolutely not.
Did you know about the racist?
Yes. Okay. We called it the Tri Kappa school. The Tri Kappa school.
What is that?
KKK.
Okay, I did not. Seriously, I'll go ahead and tell you. Growing up, my brother and I everything I choose. My dad went to 12 years of night school at Delta State. My mom bounced around and never graduated college. She went to Arkansas, the U. I was like blue. Okay, to be quite honest, because we were not college educated people. And then my brother was a State fan. One of his best friends, his dad played at State, and my brother and I were all opposite. So that's basically how I came there. So in 6th grade, I'd got one of the big Confederate flags, and I was waving it because I didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? To me, that was a rebel.
I learned to draw a swastika in the 4th grade from Billy Qualls because I didn't know any better.
I don't know Billy.
I
know you think we all know each other, but we don't.
You look like Billy.
Yeah, that probably does. I'm sorry, your long-haired self over there trying to hang on to something. Hair club for men, maybe.
What are you talking about?
I've embraced it. I'm not. I'm just saying.
We're all in the same boat. I
just had to be able to get to the haircut place today.
This moron will pay $30 to shave his head.
Man, I like my barber.
Okay.
I've had the same one for like 12 years. Love the guy.
1 to 10, what she look like?
It's a dude.
Okay.
And he doesn't have
his wife is watching.
Oh, well.
But anyway, back to what I was
My
saying.
wife's not watching.
My 13-year-old
No
self.
one else is watching when you're talking either.
My 13-year-old self would not have gone to Ole Miss,
Okay.
but my 13-year-old self was also told by my black father that golf was not a game that I could play.
Okay.
In my 23-year-old self in corporate America, being invited to play golf and learn to play golf by the branch manager at the 4-day Christmas party because we had made so much money at Sony Music, I still said, no, I'm going to play spades with the brothers.
Well, I hate golf because it's so slow and it is country club.
But when Tiger Woods began to play the game, I began to become inspired. I now love the game. I now teach the game. So what happens is you learn and
Are
you
you
grow.
any good?
I'm good. I got a whole teaching technique and everything, brother.
I mean, just because you say you teach don't mean you're good. What do you shoot?
It does. It means that to me.
Score.
My score, I shoot 73, 74 on the part. No, I'm kidding. I don't shoot that good.
Oh, that's exciting, right? We can get you on the track.
But what I'm saying is there was an evolution of time. Michael Portis was the first African American I knew. He was class of 1982. Now, he wasn't the first one from Meridian to go to Ole Miss, but I respect the school. It is the University of Mississippi. I'm purple. I tell you, I'm a Mississippian. I'm not a
You
Democrat.
make up words constantly.
Absolutely, because I'm gifted that way.
Okay. Let me finish what I was saying. I did not know the racist issue till it hit me. I understood the Colonel Reb. I understood some of it. My freshman year, we used to go walk from those two dorms there, and we go walk to go play ball, and they wouldn't let you in until 3 o'clock, Turner Center. And me and some guys, black and white, would just start heading that way at 2:30. And it was at another freshman dorm. I saw a Confederate flag and a David Duke sign. And nothing was said by the two black guys I was about to go play basketball with. There was 4 of us, I think. 2 white guys, 2 black guys. But it got extremely awkward. And I was like, oh, I'm never waving another Confederate flag in my life. Not because of the history, which obviously played a part, just because I have nothing for it. But if it made my friends uncomfortable, that's good enough for me. And like I said, there was always a part of me, and Mike, I want your input on this, where I was like, well, no, that doesn't represent all that. That represents Ole Miss. But, I mean, these are people at Ole Miss claiming into it. Now, here's an interesting thing that no one saw coming. James Meredith ended up endorsing David Duke. You know that?
I was aware. Now, to speak of Mr.
You
Meredith.
just gonna sidestep that?
Well, it just came up. I mean, and Mr. Charles Evers was a Trump supporter. When you look at here's the beautiful thing about the African diaspora.
Okay.
We have the capacity to be able to grasp extreme views, no matter how far to the left or the right they may be. While I don't agree with some of the merits of it, I honor the fact of the process. It's like, I'm a paratrooper. I did some special ops stuff. Now, I didn't do scuba, but I respect the guys that do scuba. But I jumped.
You can't compare.
I can compare the extreme.
Going to fight integration, being the man who breaks segregation, and then supporting a Klansman. To I chose.
You know what they both have in common? Courage.
Supporting David Duke takes courage.
Absolutely. As James Meredith, the first graduate of James Meredith, he was James Meredith
right there.
If
You're
James Meredith from Mississippi Valley,
you're in a penalty
if he was
box
from Valley
right there.
endorsing
You're in a
David
penalty
Duke.
box right there, Alan. Because I don't think it takes any courage to support a Klansman. I'm going to politely disagree on that. Mike.
Yes.
Should we have some sort of program to try to integrate Ole Miss more than it is going naturally?
Well, I think they do. I mean, I don't think they have an office of diversity. I don't know what
They do, but what I'm saying, and I don't know if you know this, Alan. Did you know about the what was it called? There were rumors at law school. This is what I walked in on. You had rumors that there was 2 grading curves at Ole Miss in the 90s, Ole Miss Law School.
I
for
heard
the white
about
students and the black students. And then no one could confirm it, no one could deny it. Now, everybody in our section was cool with each other. And I played basketball with half the black guys in there, so we were all hanging out one time. I walked into a section 2 where you had 3 sections, contract class. And the professor, white professor, was giving out the notes to the black students. And everybody, I walked in to get a Coke, and everybody got quiet on a Saturday. No one looked at me, even the professor. And I was like, excuse me. And no one said, oh, come on in and join us. No one acknowledged it. Now, one of my guys came up there and slipped me. He's like, you can't say anything like that. Turned out that they would have special study sessions to help diversity, but they would not publicize it. And then it came out that some African American students, at least in the 90s, if you graduated from Ole Miss and you were African American, you didn't have to pay tuition, because some of my African American friends were driving very expensive cars when they got out of law school. I was like, how are you affording that? Oh, I don't have any student loans. And I was like, where was this program? And what I'm saying is, it's almost like they were embarrassed by it. So, and what happened is, there was several young African-American lawyers, very intelligent. Ephraim Sellers is one off the top of my head. Other ones who can go any court and they can represent you just as well as anybody in the state. But there was always that Jackson Prep, Ole Miss, well, you know, they got it easy. And that's what I'm saying. To me, we have to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
And what's frustrating to me is, I understand why you want to support Jackson State. I understand. I used to hear stories about people from Alcorn who graduated 50 years ago. And I mean, that's not getting a degree. That's fighting a war. You know, I mean, you're fighting I don't know what that is, because I just went and took a test. They were fighting social economic oppressors at the time to get those degrees. So I don't want to make light of that, but it's so frustrating for me that we're not all joining in. We have too many universities, and we need to consolidate so we can get the best from all of us. And you disagree. Let me take the Delta State
And Mississippi Valley.
Mississippi Valley and Mississippi Delta are 90 miles away from each other. Why?
Jim Crow
Correct. I agree with that. Well, can we not? And I don't care if we call it Cleveland High. Can we not consolidate those so we can all get in a room and have these conversations?
You may as well, because from what I understand, Delta State's African American population is just as greater than its white population.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Can we not just be consolidating? Would you consolidate the universities in Mississippi, Mr. Gatling?
Some of them, yeah. I mean, their enrollment's down tremendously at Delta State and at Valley. I mean,
because transportation opportunity are passing. How many universities should we have if you were king? Let me start with this. Would you keep the JUCO system?
I think, yeah. I think it's great for the state.
Would you keep the JUCO?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What universities would you lose? I don't know if I'd keep the JUCO system. Or I don't know if I'd keep all the JUCOs.
I think you got to have at least one central, one south, and one north. I mean, it's a lot, at least for trades too.
Okay, I'm okay with VOTEC, but what I'm saying is, if we have 8 or 9 public universities, 8, Valley, Alcorn, Jackson State, Southern, W, State,
8.
Delta State.
8.
What's one am I missing?
That Delta State.
I think it's 8. W. I said W. Well, I mean, like State and W. What the hell? The W's in Columbus.
Yeah.
And it was because they didn't want women with men. Why is that still a thing? Now, it's integrated.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. You didn't know we were going to be live. But, I mean, why is that going on? And Wood Junior College is somewhere right there.
Well, let me say this. I think Mississippi is rooted in some great traditions, but it's also rooted in maybe some traditions that it needs to release and modernize and invite the rest of the world in. So I don't know that I'm not going to say what universities I would want to close, because I don't need nobody hating me. I'm still trying to come up. I'm not Brent Hazzard yet. I'm not afraid.
I mean, it sounds like you're scared.
I'm wise and I'm cautious.
Dog? If you're a dog, I mean, if you're afraid, buy a dog.
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
Let's get back.
We can go back him talking about insurance coverage and cars.
No.
That was exciting.
Well, let's root for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Okay.
and all celebrate. I like the idea because of the educational opportunities that can take place. But there's nothing wrong with your school being a champion. What it really speaks to is bigger than Ole Miss and Mississippi State. It speaks to baseball in Mississippi. Just like Texas is known for its football, as far as high school goes, Mississippi is starting to be
Are
really,
we still
really,
not separate but equal in Mississippi in 2022?
we're very,
I mean, you're talking about insurance. You're talking about yay baseball. I'm trying to talk about what's holding us back. Are we still?
You literally asked me why I was in Birmingham.
But dude, when
But
people's eyes start glazing over,
You literally said, why were you in
And
Birmingham?
I thought we learned now you never talked
Okay,
the law.
then I'm not going to say
that.
that. I'm going to say I went to Chipotle. Well,
At least we
and
can-
see that
I
goes
know
back to
food,
my
you know,
point.
like that. I know
That
money.
goes back to my point
Not
of
Chipotle.
tradition
Yeah, whatever.
that we have no Chipotle here. We don't have a Chipotle in Mississippi, the entire state.
You
Why?
two sidestep both that
'Cause
question.
Brent
Are
would
we
eat it all.
Are we separate but equal in 2022? You got our producer to laugh. That's the only person, the
I hear him
gutless
again,
guy
I was
who can't come on
Win.
camera is laughing.
We are combined and unequal.
He won't answer. You gonna?
We are
separate but-
combined.
separate big. Sort of. Yeah. No. I don't know.
Great radio.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Why'd you go off on the diatribe of how great of a baseball state we are?
Because we started talking about baseball.
I know that. But I
Right.
was using it as a segue to get into an interesting. Look, I won't wear an Ole Miss shirt all the time because I understand and respect how 65, 70-year-old Socrates Garrett will never support Ole Miss. And I understand. I mean, when you remember him at Teal, I can't sit there and hate on you. I can't sit there and go, because
Right, exactly.
I hold grudges over dumb stuff. But if someone told me never to use that water fountain, I'd be like, I'll burn all y'all down.
Well,
And I understand. I mean, I wouldn't virtually do it, but it's one of those things where I can't stand most people.
right.
So
Well, I went to school with James Chaney's daughter.
okay.
So there's certain things that brand you and cause certain things to happen. And I respect any brother's decision to do whatever. I just believe that if there are opportunities at a university and you have the talent and you can go to a university and have that opportunity, especially with the kids being able to jump in the portal, get some of all of it. Go to Jackson State for a minute, go to Ole Miss, get you some, and do it all. Because you could not do that when I was of the age
You're
to be
talking
able.
about athletes now.
Athletes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I will say this, please remind, and this is something I did not know. Now you're talking about that. I think it's still this way. In summer school, you can go down to Florida State and take 12 hours and it's out-of-state tuition. You can go anywhere and take summer school and it's out-of-state tuition. And then what you do is sublease someone's apartment who's going home, and it'll cost you just as much. I knew some kids who went to Arizona State just to try out Arizona, and they never had to pay out-of-state tuition. They knocked off Spanish. I knew some kids, same kids went to Charlotte to knock off some, arts, and they waited tables.
Well, you don't have to go out of state. I mean, that was the thing when I was in undergrad. Is like people that if you were in a hard major, you would take like those initial class like organic
chemistry. No, I'm not talking
You
about
hit that at
avoiding
another
it.
school and then transfer, and it's
Yeah.
just
And
credit.
bring it in, yeah,
But
yeah,
when I'm
yeah.
talking about you're seeing a different geographical location, the frustration I have about Mississippi is I think what's holding us back is not so much the racial relations, it's the agricultural community, because there's no travel component, there's subsidies to the farmers, and we've got to get past an agricultural state because there's no middle jobs. And I mean, there was just no good paying middle jobs back when it was hard labor. Now it's all automated. And I think when you're dealing with New Orleans, when you're dealing with Atlanta, when you're dealing with Memphis, you're talking about people coming and going.
Right.
And that brings new ideas. The areas we talked about are the most racist part of the state for you. Go ahead.
I would have to say probably the northeast part of the
Okay.
state. I mean, yeah.
I mean, Greenwood's got to be on there. Greenwood's got a good history.
But you're talking about current.
I am talking about Kurt.
You mean now? Are you talking about blatant racism or hidden racism?
Okay, either one. Who's worse, Blake?
Central Mississippi.
What's central? That's a big thing. Rankin County, 1 to 10, how racist is Rankin?
You tell me. I need to hear you say it.
There's a couple of spots in Rankin. I've been there, and they're public gatherings. Oh, this is a true story. They would call me, Richie and I, Democrat. They would invite us for a fundraiser, and they're like, "Hello, Democrat." And I leaned into Richie and I said, "Dude," I mean, they were giving away an AR-15, and it was a school shooting. And I leaned in and I said, "Richie, I think they're going to hang us tonight." And Richie leaned, I've told this story before, and Richie leaned back and said, "They're not going to hang me, I'm very rich." I was like, and I mean, half of them are great people. I mean, no, but the other half are like, "I bet you watch that CNN, don't you?" And you're like, you're like, brother. You
remember where the first school shooting was in America?
Was it Pearl?
Pearl.
Was it first?
Rankin County, baby.
Richie represented.
Was that the first one?
I don't know if it was the first one.
I think it was the first one. I remember.
No, you had the guy in Texas go to the University of Texas and get in the bell tower.
That was Kent State. There's two.
But there was one in Texas.
I think this was the first high school shooting, though, not college. This was the first public school.
I have to look at Googler.
But anyway, we are late. It was an interesting conversation. We got to take a break, and we will be back talking about Roe versus Wade.
Ole Miss national champs.
Now, which one of y'all want to?
SGECOVIDsolutions.com is paving the way forward for a safer city government delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols developed internationally by top virologists and scientists using an all-natural cleaning solution, killing COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. For more information, please call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com. Let SGECOVIDsolutions.com provide innovative rapid facilities testing and world-class state-of-the-art biorisk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at sgecovidsolutions.com. SocratesGarrettENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into MDOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using SocratesGarrettENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Brent Hazzard back for the Brent Hazzard Show. We're about to talk Roe versus Wade, so we could not have a discussion about abortion with three males. So we are honored to have Cherie Prince. I know it's Cherie Jones. Cherie Prince join us. Ms. Prince, tell us about yourself briefly.
I am a civil litigator, office in Flowood, Mississippi, from Durant by way of Louisville, Mississippi. So I've been here about 15 years and been practicing for about 12 of those. Louisville or Louisville? You did this last segment. It's Louisville. I'm from Mississippi.
I'm just making sure. And Durant?
Durant.
I'm just making sure. Where'd you go to high school?
I attended Nanapoya High School.
Where'd you go to college?
Jackson State undergrad.
What was your undergrad degree?
Psychology.
Interesting.
Yes.
And in law school?
Went to law school at MC, and I got an MBA from Belhaven.
Wow. You really like education.
Yeah, something like that.
Now, as a African-American female attorney, give me your impressions of the Roe versus Wade being overturned.
African-American female attorney.
Well, either one. You can take either one of them. Which one did you relate first to it? A woman, an attorney, or an African-American? Which one first? What would you say? What part of you related to it first, or commented, or thought?
I would definitely have to say as a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, a woman. And the first thing that I thought about is that this is just a test.
Test for?
I don't know how closely you read the opinion. It's a 213.
Oh, I have not read it. Okay, I read the SCOTUS
Right. It's
Yeah.
a 213-page opinion. And in the opinion, I believe Clarence Thomas alluded to there's more to come. And so that was the first thing that I thought about. Okay.
Do you really believe that, though, or do you blame Clarence? Well, here, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. I want to give you about 5 good minutes before I start shredding you two.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
I'm sorry. You thought I was going to take it easy on you?
Oh, no, I'm ready for it.
Okay. I'm
ready
just
for
letting
it.
you know. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to, be nice, and then I'm just start shredding people.
Well, I mean,
What I do.
I think it's a test. It's like, we're going to try this out.
Test by whom?
The system.
Are you saying she can't speak for herself, Mr. Cole? She got 17 degrees.
Okay, well, let's start here. Let's start at the
Okay.
beginning. Where else besides the Supreme Court can you blatantly lie in a job interview and still expect to keep your job?
Okay, first of all, though, but you as a lawyer knows that that was all a pony show anyway. I mean, no one tells the truth on that.
Well, I mean, what you would expect the truth. There were.
No.
I kind
They say whatever they need to do to get through those hearings.
Okay, so they got to the hearings.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, would you agree with me that every confirmation you say what you want to say to get through the hearings?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would think that anyone who knows me knows that I'm a person of integrity. So if I'm in a hearing, it's a public hearing.
Okay.
I'm going to speak truth.
But what I'm saying is the people who are the system, and this is one of the things that infuriates me about what you just said. In that world, we are grading and graduating or nominating people who are proven attorneys and litigators who are accomplished. The people who get nominated are political friends or cousins. No one's getting nominated because of their merits in my opinion. They know somebody. You agree or disagree? You look like you disagreed. Are you telling me Clarence Thomas is up there because he wasn't political? Are you telling me, I'll give you an example. Judge Jordan, our chief judge of the Southern District, he won the Fifth Circuit. He was too old at 50-something years old. They're like, nope. And so and I mean, he's a great judge, UVA graduate, white male, went to Ole Miss, and Trent Lawton on the confirmation said, and his wife had the second highest honor behind Miss Mississippi, Miss Ole Miss, said it on the record. Judge Jordan's a wonderful person. They gave it to someone who are 40 because it's politics. We have a 38-year-old federal judge. 38.
I mean, part of it is stacking the deck. But when I first saw the opinion, the first thing that hit me was this is a test. They're coming after certain liberties. So, okay, they were able to say that there's no constitutional right to abortion. What's the next thing? I think it's going to be same-sex marriages.
Oh, no, well, let me ask you this. Before we get to the legal analysis, Mr. Cole, what was your impression of Roe versus Wade?
My impression of Roe versus Wade was
Or the opinion.
the opinion,
Yes.
the overturning, the Dobbs case that made it.
Look at you.
I believe that it's a matter of taking away a constitutional right of the female, of the woman, as well as to preserve the white race. They don't want. We'll stop everybody from having an abortion if we can continue.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Preserve the white
The
race?
white race.
You understand there's no such thing as the white race, right? You understand that slaves...
Do you understand that?
Hey, this is what kills me.
There's no such thing as black supremacy, but there is a such thing as white supremacy.
Literally, there's no such thing as white or black. Those are creations.
Those are
Of
systems.
400 years.
Longer than that.
I was looking at 1600. So what? 600, 500.
Well, you got to figure if they say he discovered it in 1492, that means they was probably moving around.
But they documented, I think, in 1607, where one slave owner said because the white poor people and the black slaves were getting together saying that plantation looks nice. Why are we down here? And they had to come up through some biblical references to distinguish created the white and black races.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is before then, Germans killed, English killed Irish. Just now recently, all white people got together and love each other. And when I say recently,
Because
400
you've almost
years.
wiped each other out. Keep in mind, the medieval period was not about black people.
No, that's what I'm saying, but I don't know if we've almost wiped. So how is abortion saving the white race?
Because it
Or
delayed. When you look at what the demographics have done over the last 50 years, the dominant race is going to be mulatto before too long.
Well, yeah, we're merging together.
We're
and more
merging
people
together.
Are immigrating through.
So
Central
what
America
you're
and
losing
South
is the
America.
purity.
It was never pure.
That's you saying that, but
Italians were viewed as second class
It
citizens. You can't. No one can define to me
my
what's
point.
pure.
My point is this. My point is this. That's one factor of it. The other factor of it is that the white man, at the end of the day, is still more misogynistic than he is racist. That's why there was not a female president or a woman president, but there's been a black man as president, even though they call him everything. But we still rather have a man than woman. And I'm going to say the other thing that's happened. Since Roe versus Wade was passed 50 years ago, women have made strides. They have leveled the playing field.
I mean, this is some cutting edge stuff. This is some cutting edge stuff.
This is now. You know what? Now this is a result of Title IX.
Okay.
Title IX came along, and they're like, "Oh, okay, y'all want to level it out? Tell you what, we'll tell you what to do with your womb, because that's what it is."
I disagree.
Now, I personally.
Okay.
My belief, you should not, the Bible speaks of, you should not slay innocent blood. But I don't believe that, one, it should have been made law to be taken away to begin with. I believe that life is precious. God is the author of life.
When does life begin?
Life begins in the womb.
Oh, at conception?
I believe
the womb is a 9-month time.
I believe that it begins. I don't know if I have the intellect or the science to be able to answer that.
You have to answer it today with the limited knowledge that you stated. When does life begin?
I believe it begins at conception.
When does life begin?
Conception.
Okay. I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if I agree with that. Something happens at conception. Is all life sacred, Ms. Prince?
I would say this. I am pro-life.
Okay.
But I also believe that I should not sit in judgment of someone else.
Correct.
You may have a choice.
You can't say correct to that.
That's exactly.
You're not. She has a right to her opinion. You're not judging her.
I'm not judging her.
Correct.
I'm saying I agree.
That's not what you said.
That's not what I said. But
go ahead.
But no, I mean, I just don't believe that the state should stand in judgment of others. Just because I don't choose to abort a child, I don't think that I should be able to dictate what someone else does with their body. In this instance, we have the Dobbs opinion. And Dobbs is saying that, hey, you're going to have to carry this child. Next, I'm expecting to see contraceptives come off the shelf. It's like, not only are you going to have to carry this child, but we're going to make it harder and harder for you to prevent pregnancy. And I just really think that there are a series of steps they're going to take to where women are going to slowly see all of the rights evaporating.
Well, see, now they didn't make abortion illegal. They made it a state's question. Because let's be quiet, New York's not going to change, Pennsylvania's not going to change. Illinois, 24 to 25 states are not going to change. And basically what they said was, it's not in the Constitution. We're not going to recognize it on the federal level. And there's been an overexpansion of the federal government, one through technology, one through natural process of growth, and then some of it, though, through due process, and this is getting a little legal. It's one of those situations where each right has expanded, like marriage. Marriage is not in the Constitution. I can't sit here and say you have a federal right to be married. I can't say that's wrong. Because one, I don't even know if you should have a state right to be married. Because to me, that's between you and your church. And if the Catholics want to say they don't want to marry me because I'm not a Catholic, I can't say they're wrong. If the Baptists say that they're not going to marry me because I'm not Baptist, I can't say they're wrong. Now, we have to treat everybody equally and maybe a civil union. But as a single man sitting in 2022, I can't say all that is right or wrong. But back to you, Lynn Fitch, did she do a good thing or bad thing? She's the Attorney General who brought
know
the
who
case.
she- I know.
Well, I'm just explaining to people who do not know. Because here's the problem with Lynn Fitch. Does she run for governor right now? Because in 4 years, you're going to forget about her.
I believe that
Because has her name been mentioned? I haven't seen her name mentioned at all for the credit she thought she was going to get for bringing it. Every now and then it's mentioned, but she's not being.
Do you know why her name is not mentioned?
She's a woman.
She's a woman. She's a woman.
Well, no, I mean Trump is going around saying it's my victory, and let me go ahead and say this: I disagree with Trump with a lot. That is Donald Trump's victory.
It is.
It totally is.
Which is why he needs to be indicted before he runs again.
Well, and you know whose loss it is? And they finally started naming her? Ginsburg. Ruth Bader was RBG.
She should have retired.
Barack Obama said, I need you to
Yes.
step down.
She should have.
And she should have retired. And
Stay too long.
you can't put yourself above the belief. And I mean, that's going back to what I was saying. Back the way it's supposed to work, you got appointed, had a good run, and let me go play with the grandkids. Because this ain't my life. This is a job.
Correct.
Now we've got too much ego. We got too much. Oh my goodness! I mean, we've got a couple of judges now. I won't mention names.
Mention names.
I go in front of them. They could go to senior status, get someone under Biden, but we're not going to do that because it's all about ego. No one's thinking about the greater good.
No, not anymore. People are thinking about themselves and their collective interest of their group.
Do you think Thomas, what he was indicating is he was about to reverse gay marriage rights?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you think the Supreme Court's about to reverse gay marriage?
Absolutely.
The problem with that is marriage is not in the Constitution. So if you reverse they're not reversing gay marriage. They're saying all these issues should be decided by the states. And what I'm saying is, like marijuana, I can't sit there and say that marijuana should be illegal or illegal. Or like, when does life begin? I can sit there and have conversations and debates about it, just like, well, that's a good question. Is it viability? Is it when the baby will survive out the womb? Yeah. Is it when the baby might cause damage to the mother? I don't believe all life is sacred. Right now, someone just died on the planet. I don't know their name. I'm sure they were a nice person, but it didn't affect me. And I tell people all the time, did you have pets growing up?
I did.
What kind of dog? Or did you have a dog? Probably a cat person. Fish.
Well, I had a dog, a German Shepherd.
What was his name?
Rock.
Okay. Did you have pets growing up?
I had a dog named Buster.
Okay. How many convicted felons would you kill for Rock?
How many convicted felons?
Yeah. Rapist. Rock or 3 rapists? Who you taking home?
I'm not going to kill a person for my dog. I grew up in an area where you could kick a dog.
Okay, I'm just asking. Okay, Buster. 3 child molesters or Buster got to die today. Which one you choosing?
I wouldn't personally take their life, and I don't know that I would condemn them to death just because they're child molesters. I mean, I do believe in the criminal justice system.
Okay.
You're pretty hard there.
I know. What I'm saying is, no. I mean, look, I had some very good dogs. I've known a lot of piece of garbage. I'm not gonna lie. All life is not. There's some people who deserve to die. I don't have a problem saying that.
Brent.
And what I'm saying is, for my dogs, that's 5 people I could take out for a good dog. I mean, that's 5 people I could. You couldn't.
We
find
kept
5 people.
our dog on a chain, though, bruh. So you got to understand the
Dogs
context.
can come in the house.
No.
Oh, see, you're not even in this conversation.
Okay.
We had a German Shepherd bull. It was an outside dog that barked to let us know.
I mean, is there really
On
such
a-
thing as an outside dog?
Yes, there is.
There are, but all our dogs came in depending on the
See,
weather.
that's the people that were born in the 70s. There's a difference of those of us. We were
I was born in 72.
I was born in the 70s.
I was born in the 60s, is my point.
Oh, we're weak.
A little bit more tender. A little bit more
I'm
tender.
literally talking about executing people for a good dog and calling me soft. And that's what I'm saying. If I know that, I mean, there's some evil people in the world, and like I said, people are like, all life is not sacred to me, because like I said, we can't sit there. Okay, you're driving a car, right? You're driving a car,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Okay, you sell that car today, and I'm just throwing this number out. Let's say it's $20,000, right?
Okay.
You can use that money to feed a village for a year in third world countries, right? You ain't gonna give up that car. And I'm driving my car home, right?
Yeah.
You got a flat screen?
Yes.
I got a flat screen. I'm not giving those up. Are you giving your car up to feed somebody today?
Probably not.
It ain't probably not.
What are we talking about?
But what I'm saying is, we all make decisions that have consequences.
Yes.
So when we're sitting there talking about how sacred life is, we really don't believe it.
I agree with you to that point.
Not there's 7 or 8
I
billion
believe
of
the
us.
agenda is pro-birth, not pro-life. Because if you are pro-life, then there would be Medicaid expansion in the state of Mississippi. There would be life there would be things that you would do that would improve the overall quality of life. Medicaid expansion alone will keep about 30 hospitals open in the state of Mississippi.
Look, don't even get
So
started
you
with
can't
that.
say you're pro-life, you're pro-birth. It goes back to the issue, like I said, we need these little white babies to be born. Now, if I'm just...
Go ahead. You want to comment? Go ahead.
Now, I'm kind of lost on the white babies. I'm just kind of lost how we got there. Because if the issue is minimizing the timeline that abortions are available, how does it matter whether they're white babies or brown babies or red babies?
Because if I dictate what a woman does with her body at the essence of the purity of the heritage, because America is still a nation of its heritage, it still preserves it. The other thing that although they're saying that's what they're looking to do, if I'm able to tell a woman what to do with her body, I still can start to direct the narrative. You also look at...
None of that answered the question.
Okay, well, it goes back to this. It goes back to the MAGA, to the whole Trump posture.
Okay.
Do you know when America viewed itself as when it was in its greatest, when it was great?
The MAGA usually, when you're talking about those
Do you know what
people,
period that is?
1950s.
Correct. Do you know why it's the 50s?
Because white people, there was no integration, and they
It was
romanticized
before. It was
You're coming
after
after
World War II.
the greatest generation.
It was 44
Yes.
to 64. So that's what they want to return to, a situation where we can, one, sit our women back at home and go make the money, do what we want to do, strengthen our race,
But let me
our
ask you
money.
this. How does giving Mississippians to decide every issue that's not in the Constitution setting us back to the 1950s? I mean, isn't it our fault that we don't have Medicaid expansion? Isn't it our fault that we haven't elected? When we're sitting here in a Democratic city where 20%
absolutely.
At what point? I mean, you're painting this nightmarish storm. Well, no, I mean, you are, but what I'm saying is
But it's based on the apathy of the people.
all they're saying is y'all decide who marries. Now, what everybody's brought up, the right for integrated marriage is a constitutional right, and Clarence is married to a white woman, and under his interpretation, that right does not exist in the federal government. Did you
But
know
how
that?
long have you been able to have an integrated marriage in Mississippi?
Oh, Loving took care of all of it. Loving in
What was that?
67.
So that's 54 years.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, under his interpretation, if it's not... Now, here's the problem.
Clarence Thomas is the biggest hypocrite on the court,
How so?
in that he appears to be everything that he's not. And I will just say he appears to be a black man, but he's not.
He is not.
Oh, I would... so you just said you respected scuba, you respected voting for David Duke, and how can you say that and say that a man who's standing up for conservative values is not black? You just said the opposite when Meredith backed David Duke.
I can't speak for why Dr. Meredith.
I'm asking you to clarify your comments.
My
You said it was courageous.
Here's my
30
issue.
minutes ago.
Here's my issue with Clarence Thomas.
Okay.
Is how he did Anita Hill. and that whole scandal. He should have never been on
But
the
that
court.
makes him white.
That makes him not black.
Sexual harassment makes someone white. Because no black people sexually harass people.
Black people. Do I need to go back to the slave masters and how they raped the people? Do I need to go back to
I'm asking you, in 2022, does black men sexually harass black women? That's all I need to answer. That's all I need to answer.
I don't know any that has done that. So I don't. Yes, they do. To answer the question, yes.
Okay, I'm just saying
Yes.
you're a preacher. We can start naming preachers here.
I don't know them. I know of them.
Okay.
I know
Well,
of them.
Jackson, I'll point them out.
Neither confirm nor deny.
I could right. Touch my
Just asking, how did a man who backed David Duke have a right to back David Duke? Which
I said it took courage, but see, Clarence Thomas is the guy. At least what I respect about Mr. Meredith is he will at least stand up and say, hey, I support this guy. You know where he's coming from. Clarence Thomas appeared to be supportive and makes these statements that are just bold-faced lies. And then you got a wife that's over here that's straight tweeting during the middle of a coup,
his wife is crazy. His wife is
treasonous
crazy.
attempt. So you know they're having the conversation in the house. And so that's what makes him so dangerous. Not to mention, he sits on a court. Dr. Meredith sits on his couch. Clarence Thomas sits on the highest court in the land.
But here's my question, and here's my issue. I can't say their position is wrong when you really look at the Constitution. And, I mean, I'm going back to Wicker versus Filburn.
Okay.
Well, it's a case in 1943. They said you were putting a ban on how much bread you can produce. An Iowa farmer said, I'm going to grow my own wheat, make my own damn bread. And the federal government said, no, you're not. He said, how the hell do you have the right to regulate me? I'm sitting in Iowa, I'm not moving. And they said it affects. It's not in interstate commerce. It affects the aggregate. If everybody did it, it affects interstate commerce. That was 1943, if I have my dates right in constitutional law, which I probably don't. They've ruled the banning of marijuana or the legalization of marijuana in California is a federal question because the illegal proceeds affects interstate commerce. They have, I think, twice there was a gun ban in San Antonio where they said it wasn't. They have expanded federal powers for 50 years. We are not getting into the right of privacy, your right to privacy, which a lot of these rights come from under due process.
Correct.
Those are all
Fourth Amendment.
constructions.
Right.
I'm fine with their saying it's black and white. Now, my problem is a week before they said you had a right to carry a firearm, a pistol. That's not in the Constitution. It says you have a right to carry a firearm in a militia. If you're going to take a strict interpretation, do it on everything.
Right.
Go ahead, but I mean, go ahead.
Okay, so we're talking about federal questions. We're talking about interstate commerce and how limiting access to safe abortions, because that's what we're really talking about. People
Right.
are going to keep having abortions.
Yes.
The question is, are they going to be safe? Because people are going to find a way to do it.
But what do you not see, instead of the Planned Parenthood money coming to the clinic in Mississippi, that those people will just pay for a ticket on Southwest, and it might be revolutionary where fine, you won't provide us decent health care in Mississippi? Well, we'll just jump on a plane and go to where?
But that can only last for so long, because what will happen is you will begin to burden those states that start to come in. I mean, you look at the compression that will take place, it'll just be a matter of time before they say that they can't. And you can best believe that in a Republican-led administration, they will limit federal funds to those states.
No, but I'm not talking about
Because-
federal funds. I'm talking about Facebook. I'm talking about Disney. I'm talking about Google. I'm talking about Apple. I'm talking about FedEx.
You're talking about liberal organizations.
No. I'm talking corporations.
But they're still liberal.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
Because
when you
Disney's probably the most liberal. Honey.
But and I don't know if FedEx is going to do it now. But what I'm saying is, this is the first time I think you're going to see a massive amount of people saying, you can regulate all you want here. I'm out. And because of the advancements in transportation, in 74, you couldn't get an airline ticket for $250.
But you said something else that's really interesting. You brought up the issue of privacy.
Yes.
So you have apps like the Flow app, where every month I go in and say, "Hey, Flow, my cycle starts this time," and I can.
I had no idea that.
I didn't either. That's
Right now.
wow. I'm so glad you're here.
Right. So you guys invited some of the uterus.
Yes.
So I'm going to educate you guys on a
Okay.
few things. But yeah, there are apps where you go
We
in
love
every
uterus.
month and you say, "Hey,
Please don't get me sued.
you know, this is the time of month that my cycle is. I can predict when I'm ovulating. I can predict when So when you talk about abuse, subpoena power, and if you start to criminalize having an abortion outside of the time frame that's permitted by your whatever state you're under, what does that mean in terms of privacy? Is there going to be a new bright line rule that
But
women
let me-
That's a
have
great question.
But let me ask you this: how far does Mississippi take it? Because at the end of the day, we had a Democrat, Musgrove.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
At the end of the day, Jim Hood came. What did he end up having? 46%. We're not talking that this is a huge.
I disagree. I mean, the fact that we're even having this conversation,
But that's not Mississippi. That's national. And what I'm saying is you got to, and look at your map. Idaho's one.
Okay.
You've got 26 states that agree. I think Florida agrees.
but we're sitting here right now in Mississippi.
Correct.
And,
So-
and the opinion is who? Dobbs versus who?
Oh, it's Dobbs is the official, as a public health director.
Right. So when you say how far are they going to take it,
Do they ban contraceptives in Mississippi? Yes or no?
I think they may try it. I really think they
As
may
in
try it.
condoms?
Condoms.
Mm-hmm.
Tate Reeves was asked that question when the opinion leaked. And to me, that was Breyer. That was Justice Breyer said, "I'm out of here. Y'all can go to hell." Boom. And what I'm saying is, he was like, "What are you going to do?" And, but no, they asked him, "Would you sign a law banning contraceptives?" And he said, "No comment."
The question
Oh,
is,
boy.
No, he's a whore that will never, he'll say whatever will try to get him elected to the next job.
but I mean, can you see the Supreme Court passing a law or, saying that men must have vasectomies at a certain age?
No.
Okay, so why do you get to tell me what to do with my body?
Once again, look, my right, I look at it from a Hinds County Youth Court prosecutor. And I used to have to lock up people. There's a meconium test. You don't know what that is. Do you know what the meconium test is?
I do not.
When a child is born, the first passing solid waste, defecating, they test it for drugs. They do that on every child.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yes. And they do that automatically. You can get into probable cause or not, but they do that. Every child, their meconium is tested for, I guess, several things. But if it comes out that child's been exposed to marijuana, cocaine, or drugs, that child is taken away from the mother immediately. And when you ever take a child away from the parents, you have to have a civil hearing in youth court. I did not know any of this how I became a prosecutor in youth court. And it's called abuse and neglect docket. And then the mother has to come out because you're bonding right there. That's very important bonding time. So there's a couple of rehab facilities where the mother and child can go and they can bond, and we try to send them there. I forgot the name of it. It's a great situation. But what I'm saying is, if that happens when a child is born, and I've actually had to do some things in the third trimester where a child is testing positive for drugs or stuff like that. What happens when you have a miscarriage in the first trimester now? If you look at it, because what's interesting is,
Wow.
are we going to create a 3/5 person in
wow.
the womb? And they're going to say, whoa. That mother can do what she wants. Well, she's exposing that child to tobacco. She's exposing that child to alcohol. And that's when you're talking about putting government in the womb. Does that child get a Social Security number? Does that child get Medicaid?
Well,
Does dad have to start paying child support?
Yes.
well, I think we're back at the other question that you asked. When does life begin?
Correct. And let me say this. I'm all for most of that. I'm all for Medicaid. I'm all for at that age. I'm all for, let's start putting money to make sure we have healthy babies then, prenatal care. what's going to
They
happen?
could do that through Medicaid expansion.
Well, yeah, but what's going to happen is when the white woman from the suburbs has to go answer questions to state or local authorities, what happened to that miscarriage? That's when the world's going to change.
See, I disagree. I don't think that the white woman's going to be called to answer questions.
Here's the problem with that, though. Once technology becomes greater and greater, like you said, with apps and stuff, someone's going to log in an app. Someone's going to type in a computer. Back in 1970s, maybe we throw this over here. Maybe this doesn't get filed with health care and logging on. Someone's going to hit send, and you're not going to be able to delete it.
But again, it goes back to the question that Ms. Prince brought up: how far inside of a woman's body do they get? Does
Right now, it's at birth. I mean, at conception. Excuse me.
absolutely?
But that's, take that back. In Mississippi, we're incorrect. In Mississippi, it's 15 weeks. The abortion's illegal in Mississippi at 15 weeks. Not 26. That's what we're talking about. This really did. It took 26 was the standard viability
Down to
test
15.
and reduced it to 11 weeks to 15. And they said because the new science shows it. And once again, I would have kept Roe versus Wade, but I can't say using something. Roe was 73, but the viability test was Casey, which was 92. That's 30 years ago. I can't say updating it. Or, I can't say we should use technology from 92 to judge 2022. If we're talking about viability is increased, I can't say it's completely illogical. My issue is they don't go back and void gay marriage. I tell people all the time, what's your test? And if you're conservative, this is why I ask all the judges. If you're conservative, name the company you punish civilly. Was it BP? Was it the pharmaceuticals for opioids? Who are you knocking the hell out of with a punitive award? And then I ask all liberal judges, what is that line where you're maxing people out for life? Is it child molestation? Is it death, murder? Is it rape? When are you looking at someone that says, that's 50 years gone? Because if you don't have those two tests, then you can't sit on that bench, in my opinion. Because now you're just going to say, I'm never going to find that person guilty, sentence him for 100 years. I'm never going to give punitives to BP, no matter what civil wrong they've done.
I mean, from a criminal standpoint, there are sentencing guidelines. So
Not in state.
Well, but I would even say looking at the federal sentencing guidelines as just a bar.
Yeah.
To say, okay, this is what they look at. So, you would at least have something to fall back on. And punitives, that's just really to deter the behavior in the future.
Correct.
So, you look at the behavior. But with the whole Dobbs case, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But what I'm saying is, was it 9 people in D.C. deciding whether we use guns or not? 9 people in D.C. deciding whether marijuana is legal or not? 9 people deciding who you can marry in your church? I don't know that. Is it better to have people elected here? Is it better to have 50 states saying, well, we don't mind heroin being legalized here? Is that better? We don't mind having gambling here. We don't mind having if the new standard is if it's not in the Constitution, we don't address it in D.C. That's a you issue.
I would disagree with that.
I would too.
How so? We're running out of time.
Yeah, I think that the entire issue raises several federal questions. And so when you start talking about interstate commerce and things like that, I think that should be decided at the federal level. So if I want to move from Mississippi to Alabama to Tennessee to Illinois, I ought to have some common legal framework that I can depend on, because there are so many different ways that this issue affects commerce.
But what I'm saying is I think the rationale of humanity, ultimately, we're not that different. We like to think we are. But, at some point, we're going to have adopted common, usual rules, whether we're talking about child abuse, whether we're talking about, manslaughter. We have a uniform system adopted by each state. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I'll give you the last word, Mr. Coles.
Well, I think that America has changed. I think we see a commonality of an agenda put forth by a group of people, whatever that may be. And I think that being able to grant a constitutional right and to take it back with a conservative majority lends to the ability to take other constitutional rights that have been recently granted. Certainly any right that has come since Roe versus Wade is subject to be...
if it's not in the Constitution,
so
it's subject to be revoked under this interpretation.
I think we need to be mindful, and I think they need to put civics back in schools. And then when
civics were ever taken out.
They took civics out of schools. And I think that kids should go to Ole Miss.
With that,
if they choose.
We're out of time. We'll see y'all next week.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.